Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 18.6.1 to the public. iOS 18.6.1 is available around the world at the same time for everyone, but if you're not seeing the update, you can find it by going to your settings, then going to General, and then Software Update. You should see the update here. If you're not, you can go back and check it again, and it should show up. However, if you're on iOS 26 betas, you won't see the update as you're on a newer version. In order to install it, you would have to use a computer to downgrade from iOS 26 betas to iOS 18.6.1. Now, this was released alongside one other update, and that's watchOS 11.6.1. We also came in at a fairly small 721.4 megabytes this time around on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And again, this is available for all iPhones that run iOS 18. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go to Settings, then we'll go back to General, and then go to About. As you can see, the build number is 22G90. This particular update does not have a modem update, but it does bring a feature specifically to Apple Watch utilizing your iPhone. So Apple actually announced this today on their newsroom website, and if we go here, you'll actually see that an update on blood oxygen for Apple Watch in the US. So iOS 18.6.1 paired with watchOS 11.6.1 brings the feature back to those where it was disabled when it was sold after January 18th, 2024 in the USA. So Apple Watch Series 9, Series 10, and Apple Watch Ultra 2 didn't have that feature enabled. So no other watches will be affected once this update is installed, and it won't really affect anything unless you're using the older watches. You'll have that feature now. So I've installed it on this Apple Watch Series 10 Titanium. We'll take a look at how it works in just a moment, but on older watches that don't have it enabled already, so I have it on here. We'll go ahead and log in. You'll see if we go to the blood oxygen option, we'll go down here. It simply says the blood oxygen app is no longer available. Learn more in your health app on your iPhone. However, now that we have a Series 10, it's already enabled. So if we go ahead and go into the options here, we'll go down to blood oxygen, and you'll see that we have the option now. It says it's not available, but if we go into the health app, we should be able to enable it. Now I switched the watch to my wrist, and it says the blood oxygen app has changed. You will now find blood oxygen results in the health app on your iPhone. Now, in order to get this to show up, it took me doing a couple different things. On this particular watch, it kept saying it was not available, but then what I did is I went down, ran ECG, and also measured my heart rate. After I did that, it then changed this on my watch to blood oxygen and then showed me this new alert. So if we tap done, you'll see it says start. Here are some tips that can help you get a good recording. We'll tap next. And then it's basically got the same tutorial that we had before. So you'll see that here. We'll tap next. And then it says, keep your watch facing and try not to move, or facing up and try not to move. Resting your wrist on a table can help. So we'll tap done. We'll tap start, and you saw it wasn't working here just a moment ago. So we'll go ahead and run this, see what we've got here. It should be pretty good, but at least it now can finally measure it. Now that it's complete, it says open health on iPhone to see your results. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go into the health app here, and let's see what my results. So we'll go down to show all data. Then we'll go down to blood oxygen, and you'll see it just measured it at 2:22 p.m. So it actually just worked, 96 to 97. It's working now, and that's the way they're getting around this. So the workaround is sensor data from the blood oxygen app on the Apple Watch will be measured and calculated on the paired iPhone, and then the results can be viewed on the iPhone. So that's sort of the feature update with this, where it sort of does that in a roundabout way. Instead of measuring it on the watch itself, it's sending the data off to the iPhone as a workaround. As far as any other features, well, there's nothing new in this update. Of course, iOS 26 will have all those new features and the new redesign as well. When it comes to bugs, well, there's no major updates as far as bugs and bug fixes, so the things that were here before seem to remain. For example, the stuttering with the notifications, maybe that's fixed. I'm not seeing it here, but it does seem to jump around a little bit. If we swipe home, it does dim the wallpaper, so those bugs still remain, but they are fixed in iOS 26, so maybe they're holding off for those. As far as security updates, if we take a look at Apple's security release website and scroll down, you'll see iOS 18.6.1 and watchOS 11.6.1 are both listed here, but the update has no published CVE entries. That means there's nothing to share as far as security updates. It doesn't mean there aren't any, it just means there's nothing published, but most likely this is more just about what we've talked about already with the watch update. It doesn't seem there's any bug fixes or anything else. The other day, Apple also announced that Apple Arcade adds fun new content, including NFL Retro Bowl 26, Jeopardy Daily, and an exciting update to Hello Kitty Island Adventure. So those are things coming soon if you use Apple Arcade, but other than that, this is a pretty minor update. Most of the things are updated with iOS 26 at this point. As far as overall performance, it seems smooth and fast and fluid, just like you would expect. At this point, we've had iOS 18 for almost a year, and everything is finally seemingly working properly. Things such as ProMotion seem to ramp up and down as you would expect. It's nice and smooth, and the overall experience is pretty good. When it comes to the heat of the device, it's nice and cool for the most part. It may process a little bit in the background, but let's take a look at the thermals quickly. And you'll see the overall temperature is about 33.5 degrees Celsius or so. So what you would expect sitting at idle, nothing really too hot. Of course, it will cool down once it finishes processing in the background. When it comes to overall battery life, well, battery life on iOS 18.6 was excellent for most people. I would expect the same here, as they haven't really changed much, but added a feature for Apple Watch. So the overall battery life has been pretty good overall. Some people were getting 11 to 12 hours of screen on time on the 16 Pro Max, but if we take a look at battery on this device, battery health is 100% with just 18 cycles. Of course, if I used it more, we would see that drop. And overall battery life, well, let's take a look at someone else's. This was sent in by Connor on a 16 Pro Max. He had about 10 hours and 49 minutes of screen active time, 31 minutes of screen idle time, and used less than 100%. So pretty excellent battery life overall, maybe 85 to 90% of the battery was used there, but getting through the day with no problem. So I would expect nothing different with iOS 18.6.1 that way, but we'll take a closer look at it in the weekend follow-up video, typically on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. If you're wondering if you should install iOS 18.6.1, even if you don't have an Apple Watch or you're outside of the United States, absolutely, as again, it could include security updates. Again, there's not going to be any major changes here, but I would recommend installing it at this point. We could see an iOS 18.7 release sometime maybe between now and September, but typically I wouldn't expect that. We also got an iOS 26 Beta 3 for the public beta release, and iOS Beta 6 re-release that also matches the public Beta 3 release. So that's what we've got today as well. And then we're expecting an event in a few weeks for the iPhone. So iPhone 17's event is expected probably around the 8th of September. We could see invites within the next week or two at this point. So that's what I would expect as far as that goes. When it comes to benchmarks, let's go ahead and run some initial benchmarks here. I ran them earlier and they were a bit low, but let's run them again and see what we've got. Benchmarks completed, and we have 3,470 for single core, 8,457 for multi-core. I would expect this to improve before the weekend. I ran it a few times and we've seen higher scores than this, but it's well within the margin of error. So overall, it probably will improve. And again, we'll check that in the weekend follow-up video. And so that's everything with iOS 18.6.1. Not a huge update, but just a nice feature update for those that have been wanting blood oxygen in their watches on the latest versions. That was a real big downside to the latest Apple Watch, so that should help out overall. And of course, we expect new models in just about a month or so. Let me know if you've found anything else though, or noticed anything different with iOS 18.6.1. And of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.